Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Sun is rising, feel the warmth on my face. There's a lot to do now, but there ain't no race. I sip my coffee, I'm feeling fine. No need to work yet, I'm gonna take my time. It's a brand new day, gotta take it on my way, gotta take it on my way. It's a brand new day, gotta take it on my way, gotta take it on my way.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. My name is Kimberly McLemore, and I am your host. With us, we have singer-songwriter Tamika Joy, founder of S.T.A.R.S organization, S.T.AR.S Performing Arts, and Celebrity Status Entertainment. Welcome, Tamika.
Hello, how are you doing, Miss McLemore?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking.
Well, I am ecstatic about this interview. I'm glad that I finally got things organized here on my end with all this software and technical problems that we were having early on. So it's really a privilege to get an opportunity to speak to you in person. We've had the opportunity to kind of chime back and forth through on Facebook. So that's been exciting. And I actually got to meet you in person. So we're going to talk a little bit about that throughout the interview.
Okay.
But in the meantime, could you please just say hello to the listeners and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. And first, I want to say thank you again so much for having me on the call. I really appreciate it. And you giving a platform for women to, tell the stories and network and just, be inspiring and all of that good stuff that us ladies, have to fight out here in this world to prove ourself, our worth, our, hard passion and things of that nature. So thank you for actually having this podcast and thank you for having me. But a little bit about me is not a little bit, as you can see, all the crazy S.T.A.R.S organization. It stands for Shining Through Adversity, Reaching Success. And we basically deal with families that have the need for any resources in the family. And we're basically like the third party where we get them to wherever they need, if it's a doctor, if it's some type of, counseling, from food to whatever it is that they may need. We're basically like the third party. We also do workshops with the families. We do workshops with the fathers. We do workshops with the mothers. We do workshop with the kids. We talk about life learned lessons, things of that nature, substance abuse. It started off as actually for the kids. And as we were going along, I was like, I need to go to the root, I need to get to the root. And the root starts with the parents, the father,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a need for that. And so we wanted to go, and it just became a family oriented, organization. So that's what S.T.A.R.S organization is. S.T.A.R.S Performing Arts is, I just actually launched this performing arts program in which I just got my 501c nonprofit for it, and we're leaning towards wanting to get a building so that we can be able to operate and put all of these things that I have going on in one facility, and
Right.
just where they can kind of come and go during out the week. It's like basically a safe house for a structure for families,
Mm-hmm.
but S.T.A.R.S Performing Arts, of course, dealing with the children from ages 6 to 18, and they get to learn a craft. They also get to learn on building their integrity and their characteristics. And because Celebrity Status is like my entertainment company, because I am an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I will I interject with, or basically I include. Let me say, I include the other celebrities into the S.T.A.R.S Performing Arts, where they get to come in, they Skype, they drop in, they send letters, whatever they need to do to help the kids realize that I bleed like you. I'm no different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if they can touch them, if they can see them, if they can get a one-on-one, that kind of puts their whole perspective of, okay, this is somebody I can get in touch with, and I've actually been able to talk with. So it gives them a different walk, of
Right.
confidence, things of that nature. So being that they get the confidence, they get the integrity, they get the characteristics, and they're honing the craft.
Mm-hmm.
We're building great future.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's what S.T.A.R.S Performing Arts is. Celebrity Status, of course, was my first company that I started. Like probably 2003.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it came in, yeah, from me basically being in the music industry and having some downfalls with my management and labels. I started my own because when I got my publishing, I just basically started my own entertainment company. And so, I basically was my artist underneath my own label.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
we do parties. We like
Mm-hmm.
event coordinating. We do parties. We do any type of event that you may want or need. Of course, because I'm an artist, if you need a singer, if you need a DJ, my son is a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
My husband he plays as well, and my daughter, she also sings. So all of
Okay.
that, all of us are underneath that umbrella.
Umbrella.
And
Okay.
so,
All right.
yeah, yeah.
Well, before we go any deeper into this conversation, I want you to backtrack a little bit and talk to me about who you are personally. What inspired you to start some of these companies? But tell me a little bit about where you're from. Are you originally from this particular area, the Washington, D.C. metro area?
I am from a little town called Occoquan in Virginia.
Ah, mm-hmm.
It's right over the Thornton Bridge, right underneath the bridge. It's a small town. I was born and raised there. Back then, it was right when you come into the town is where all my family was basically they lived, on which I still have family that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the homes that you see when you first come into the town are my family homes. And my great grandfather actually built a store there. He built the house there. And he built the store. It was the only like convenience store there in the town.
Oh, wow.
And the church, which is Ebenezer Baptist Church down in Occoquan,
Mm-hmm.
it's a family church. Basically, my ancestors and family members as well have built and raised and formed that church and things of that nature. So all my inspiration comes from them. We're talking about black males and females that didn't really have an education,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't privileged to a lot of things, but made things happen. We're activists, because basically the church, a slave basically
Mm-hmm.
found the church, in which was a family member, and his daughter was like, helped raise me. Of course, my aunt Annie B. Rose. And so she used to kick it around with Mary McLeod Bethune. I have
Wow.
pictures
Okay.
of her. Yeah, I have pictures of her with her, and there's so I just saw them. They instilled a lot of wisdom in me, and just watching them be entrepreneurs and go getters, and
Mm-hmm.
it just it and I'm challenged now. I feel
Right.
like
Right.
I can't drop the ball. I saw all of this go down. That's why I tell people I'm cut from a different cloth, because
Cloth.
I mean
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had people that were born in the 1800s that were raising me.
Well, I think it's a beautiful transition that here you come from what we call a family of first. Like you
Yeah.
said, you come from a different cloth, and the wonderful part about your story here is that you have the opportunity to actually know these individuals and learn about them. A lot of us in the minority community, we don't know our history,
Hmm.
and it's not shared with the
Hmm.
family. So that's a blessing that you've been able to embrace that, understand it, and realize that you still have other things that you're achieving, and that you're constantly moving forward with this. And so your family and your children will be those next generations that will continue this forward of all these great accomplishments and what was instilled in you, and now they'll instill
Hmm.
it in their family in the future.
Right. Yeah. And I tell everyone, if you just learn who you are, if you learn who you are, it will do a lot for you as a person, because then you'll be able to get a pathway, you'll feel better. You're like, oh, I come from this and I come from that. And that's the thing. They try to rip us from that and wash it away so that we wouldn't be able to know the greatness that we come from.
Absolutely.
All we just
Absolutely.
remember is, great great grandma in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know what her grandparents were, and what she
Mm-hmm.
came from, and it's just been so fast, far as us, the living cycle of really them sitting down and taking the opportunity to leave that legacy. So I guess they didn't really know. A lot of us didn't know how important that was of an impact for the future to come.
Right.
So now it's like it's a lost. It's a gap that a lot of us don't really get to get the opportunity to know where we really come from, what we come from.
Well, like
I
you
think
said,
if
well,
everybody
you're
knew
definitely a proven product of this understanding of
that.
where you come from. You know how to move forward. I know there's a different saying for that, but at the end of the day, you have been able to prove that how important it is. And like I said, your family, you're inspiring them to do even better. So the steps that you've made from your family history tree there, I'm sure, like you said, they never knew what was going to come to pass, but here you have definitely showing that the challenge is there, and you're doing that, and you're taking it upon yourself to make everybody else aware of that. And I think that's a
Oh yeah.
beautiful process. And I think the inspiration is amazing, because
Uh,
the history lesson I'm learning about you and your family right now, I think is amazing. And we all know that we have greatness within our families, but like you said, it's just not knowing. And I think if more of our young people would want to be willing to learn, or even within our own families are willing to share the information, that people would be more apt to want to get up every day and do the things they need to do better.
mhm. Mhm. You know how you when back in the day, or yeah, well, I know they always would say, leaving a legacy was important. That was one thing I know they most of them always would say to me,
Mm-hmm.
leave a legacy, baby.
That's
That's what
right.
they say. You live to leave a legacy, and I think we took for granted, or I could say, I guess the ones before us, well,
Mm-hmm.
before me, my parents, and took for granted of those stories that the generation before them and before them used to talk to them about when they would tell them, when we come up there, we'll come up and ask them for 25 cents or a nickel, and you a nickel? You know
Right.
what I do for a nickel? And they were like mute. It was like mute. They didn't want to hear the struggle. You know what I'm saying? But I was like like I said, they were like 60, 70, like, because my ancestors, my family, they lived to like 100. I had an aunt that died, she was 106, and, 103 and 99, and, so they lived long time, so they would, when they would tell them those stories, it's like, I don't want to hear it, but I would just sit there and I'll soak all of that stuff up, just listening to them, and not necessarily really doing it on purpose. It was something that I just took into, because down in Quan, you got to also, I guess I got to kind of paint a picture of, I was like the only child down there. I was like the first child.
Okay.
Down there, and there was no kids. It was all older people down there. Mm-hmm. The population was probably about 300, if that, so yeah, it was I can't even say 300. It was probably so. The only time I got to see people was when they have a craft day, 3 days, 3 times out of the year, 2 times out of the year. And so they have all these big tents, and they basically take up the whole streets, and everybody comes down in the town, and, all this, they have all these vendors and things. So that was the only time I saw people, like, I mean, like, a lot of people. But people would come down and shop, of course, because it's a historic old town, but like lots of people, I didn't get to see lots of people every day. So church was like my, that was my.
Like your playground, right?
Yeah. Of crawling up underneath the pews and stuff, on the pulpit singing, singing and stuff. That was my good times.
Like I said, that's an amazing story, and like the richness that you have been able to encounter and to spread onto your family, and then they can spread on even further down the road when they're ready to partake in having a family of their own. I think it's amazing, and I'm glad that you had the opportunity to share that with us tonight. So all of this richness and all this inspiration has led you to this point, and you'd already talked a little bit about each one of the businesses that you have. But explain to me some of the challenges. If you can focus on one of the businesses, or you can touch a little bit on each one of them, but talk about the challenges you have had. I know you have had some story, and I've actually had a chance to read a little bit about your story in reference to the singing and the industry that you're in and the troubles that you had. So talk a little bit about some of those challenges.
Well, now the challenges is, just my children. I have 6 children. So, all walks of life. I have one adult. He's 20, 15 and 14-year-old, an 8-year-old, and then I have 2 6-year-olds. So I have a Brady bunch. It's 3 boys and 3 girls.
You do.
They say we're the Black Brady bunch.
I wasn't going to say that, but since you said it for me.
Yes, and because we're like in the entertainment thing, they say, yo, you're the Black Kris Jenner. Because I'm always in the entertainment and got the kids and stuff. I said, oh, no, I don't go that far. No, but, yeah, of course, being a parent, that's number one key, and of course being married is not easy as well, because my husband is stretched, and sometimes he don't get it, and sometimes he don't want me out, and, of course the kids is the same way, trying to balance them homework and singing and recording and, doctor's appointments and games and activities and things of that nature. So the balance of being a parent, a wife in the industry is a challenge in itself.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's like number one key is basically, getting a challenge. And of course, I think that was more of the reason why Mary kind of got out there, because they wanted people to see the challenge of all the stuff that they have to do and being, hands-on parents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's still hard when you're in it. No one's going to get it until they actually have to do it themselves. Because it's a lot that entails of being an artist.
Right.
But for the most part, I think that's like one of the major problem going back in my career. Before I had the children, I only had my son, of course, and my mom, of course, would have him while I was running around the world and singing and recording and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, being in the industry, it's a predominantly male industry. So
Right.
you're dealing with, females that have to deal with, the egos, wanting to hold you accountable for whatever it is that they're trying to get out of you, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the time it's sex,
Right.
or getting, to you. So you have to fight those battles of, kind of going from left to right to moving, trying to get out of that whole situation with winning. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a challenge in itself because, at the end of the day, most of them, either you're in a corner or they stop calling, or they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my challenge that I saw that I faced in the beginning of my career. I was signed to one label, and my manager at the time, of course, because we were together all the time, from him, working out with me, from going to the hair salon, picking out outfits, photo shoots, recording.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, and so of course with him being with me, and he basically started to have feelings and
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to be with him. But of course he was married. I'm 19.
Oh
He's
wow.
30
Yeah.
and he wants me to be with him. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. That's not in the plans here.
Right.
So basically he breached our contract, and my attorney was able to get me out of that because he wanted me to repay him for everything he had did for me. And
Mm-hmm.
my attorney said, oh no, brother, you breached that contract. She'll just give her music and you have a great day. And that was how that ended up,
Mm-hmm.
leaving. And then, of course, I was also in a relationship with a young gentleman. Well, I don't know if he's a gentleman, but I was just a
Okay.
male.
Okay.
Um, a male that basically, wanted me to be with him. And he's in the music industry, heavy. And at that time, it was a lot of, it's not as, is it like the industry is different now. It's a lot of social media components that you can do in order to be,
Mm-hmm.
musically inclined and people to know who you are and all that other
Right.
stuff. It's a lot now. It wasn't that then. So he was able to touch this person, don't mess with her, don't work with her,
Mm-hmm.
this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't want to be no longer with him. So, yeah, that was the whole thing with that whole situation
Mm-hmm.
when I was signed to another label. So my manager at the time, he was getting ready to be just getting in the industry and didn't want a liability at the time. Let me say that.
Okay.
And so he let me go. And so that's when I started my own journey.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then I had, my two daughters back to back. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I was kind of just like, let me just sit down. I just
Right.
like, I've had enough. I was overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
with all that craziness as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I've been sitting for the last 15 years. However, I'm back. I'm back, only because, like I said, because I started the performing arts program, and with me having and dealing with the celebrities, I need to be rubbing shoulders with them. They need to see me so that I can bring them in, not necessarily me knocking on the door or me emailing them saying, hey, I need you to come over here to my kids and work with them. They don't want to. No, it's not going to work.
Right. Well, and I think in the type of industry that you're in, that there's always somebody knocking on their door, like you said, or sending emails and trying to be a part of the process, or be just a part of saying, oh, I know this person. And like you said, I think the thing of today, that sometimes there's those missed opportunities of everybody wanting to use the social media side. It's helpful to some extent, but you still have to know how to get out and reach people. And it seems that you have definitely, understand that, because 15 years prior to that, you were in that type of a lifestyle, in that world where you didn't have all the social media, and now that it's available, that's all great and dandy. But like you said, you still have to be able to communicate with people face to face.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it kind of.
Hello. Oh, I think we just lost our guest for a second here. So she's on hold, but you just hold for us a second and we'll get her back on the line. 1 second here. Hello?
Yes.
Still here?
Still here. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I've had.
It's but, okay. Yeah, it's okay. We're still on. We're still on. Hey.
Yeah. It have to get with them and be like on with them to talk with them to bring them in.
Right. Yeah, and actually, I think that's the right way to do it. You can't ask for people to be a part of something when you're not willing to be a part of them. And I think that's with anything in business. People will constantly reach out to you in business, no matter what it is, and they have all these high expectations. But you won't want to give anything in return. But it's a twofold. So no matter how you look at it in business. So explain to me a little bit more about the other programs and how people can get involved, because you focus a lot with working with children. So tell me about how that piece works.
Okay, so I'm sorry, you said with working with the children?
Yeah, you and some of your other programs, you actually work with kids and you get them involved so they can, I guess, bring out their talents. And so how do they get involved with that process?
Well, being that like the S.T.A.R.S Performing Arts, we have the nonprofit now, and I haven't really went, I guess, say viral with the Performing Arts program because I'm really trying to focus on getting a facility versus me kind of going somewhere and having the kids, and getting, I don't want to go through that. I really want to work on getting a facility. However, I do have different things like Christmas, and I had a meeting today, matter of fact, as we're planning and getting ready for a casting call for the kids. We're doing a Christmas show. Oh, okay. And so almost like a Motown style Christmas medley show. Where the kids will be able to sing all the Christmas songs and a little bit of skits, interaction during out the Christmas caroling. So from that we do little things like that, or we'll go over to like the detention center and have like an open mic, so where like the kids can just be able to do their whatever it is that they like to do, is rap or sing or poetry, from the Disability Foundation, the National Federation of the Blind, different places that have disadvantages, but they have a craft, they have a gift just as well as any other person. So that's like our focus now, is going into those places and giving them a voice, giving them a platform, giving, them, showing them some love. Right. And so that's what I'm doing now versus actually getting a facility and getting the kids starting the program hands-on to where they're rehearsing and things like that. I don't want to get into that, like I said, until we get a actual facility. So if there's anyone out there that knows any grants of those things that we can benefit from, we are a nonprofit. I'm trying to get all the grants that I could possibly, or sponsors, so we get, or someone that may have a building that, wouldn't mind an empty building, that they're looking for some people to get in there that's doing something that's in a positive nature. I'm your girl.
Well, I'm sure they're going to hear this loud and clear. And if there's anybody I can try to get you connected with, I'll work on my end as well, because I think that your program is valuable and is definitely needed in our community. We've lost so many things within the school systems today where, it seems like, you can't learn any entertainment, the kids can't sing anymore. I mean, everything is being taken away, where that was a given when we were going to school.
Right. That's what made school. Like, we loved, chorus, and we loved to do plays, and
exactly.
it's so crazy of how they, they've just taken that out, because they really are. It's they're trying to really dummy us down,
Right.
and the benefit of, music is like, it takes you to a whole nother place. It tells stories, it paint pictures, if you're in a bad mood and you hear a song, it brings back memories. You'll find, even if you're mad, you'll find yourself tapping your foot, or your facial structure will start to change, just in one song alone.
Right.
A song that will take you back. It's needed, so
it is. I would never thought in this day and age that would be a topic of discussion of, that there's no longer music within the school systems. It just behooves me to think that somebody would say, oh, this isn't important. Everything is important, to challenge your children and to bring out their talents. And that was, like I said, that was one of the things we looked forward to when we were going to school. And now some of these kids don't even have a clue what it is, because if they do have any programs, they can't afford them. And that's the other issue. And like I said, I find it very hard to believe in this day and age that these things are being taken away. So your type of program, your nonprofit organization, is absolutely going to be needed in our community. Definitely needed.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm definitely an advocate of saving the music, because it's definitely needed. It does a lot, like I said, for individuals that I don't think whoever made that decision was not thinking logically on really what music. I mean, that's how people learn. Like, majority of, the learning process comes from music. I mean, that half of the side of your brain, deals with, that whole component. So I'm trying to figure out, why would they take that out? But hey, if they took, the prayer and the pledge of allegiance and God out of the schools, then hey, we don't stand a chance.
You're right. It's like I was funny. I was having this conversation with my son the other day, where I said it's going to get to a point where there may not be any more brick and mortar schools, in the future. All the craziness that's going on in the world today. So you definitely have to have plans for your children within your home to make sure that they're getting the grasp of all the arts and all the other things that are going on around them, because they may not be able to learn it in school anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I told my kids next year they're coming home and they're going to learn from home, because it doesn't even make sense. Like, it's just a place. I mean, although, like, my son, he's in 3rd grade, and his teacher, they have this app where the teachers can interact and record the kids throughout the day, and then she posts it, and then we're able to watch exactly what's going on and what they're doing, and pictures and interacting on the homework and stuff like that. And I'm just like, if you're gonna be texting me all day long with pictures and videos, he might as well stay home. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't have time for all that, right?
all that. Like, I'm trying to figure out why you keep video texting and post and stuff. Like, are you doing any work? Like, what are you teaching them? Like,
Right.
because all I'm seeing is that they doodling, writing down, or
Right.
you can't teach and record at the same time. So how much is she really teaching them at the time that she's recording? And if you keep texting me these things during out the day, what are you teaching my child?
Right. Right. Well, one thing
Uh,
they do know is technology, if nothing else, right?
yeah,
So,
pretty much.
yeah. So that.
Pretty much, and I'm just like, and my kids can kind of outdo you on the computer
Right.
and cell phones, So
Right.
you don't have no tricks over here,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. All right. I have a couple more questions for you before we end the interview. Tell me and talk to me and tell the listeners about your album coming out. And let's talk a little bit about the event that you just had here recently, where that was my opportunity to actually get to meet you in person. And I really just enjoyed this event. And I wish that there was more people. And we want to know when your next one is coming.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yes, and thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. You coming out, it was great. I loved it. Um, it The next one is actually going to be in October. Next month. Gosh, we're already like almost in the middle of September, right?
Right.
So the next one is in October, the first week, I believe, in October, I want to say. So I'm getting ready for that. And my album, I said November, December. I'm praying if it's not done, I definitely will have my single out by then. Um, I just really want to hold it like my baby, and really when I come, I'm feeling great about it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to rush it, and with everything on my plate and all this other, with the Christmas thing, it may not be around that time. So I may actually just go with the single. And I was just talking with my partner yesterday about it,
Okay.
and really getting the single, but still performing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on a consistent basis up to the time the part of the year, springtime, we're looking at a release.
Well, no, I'm
Not
definitely looking
necessarily,
forward to it. Definitely looking
yeah,
forward to it. I was really, like I said, enjoyed hearing you, and you have a beautiful voice. So
thing.
we're all out here waiting.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Just getting back into that whole thing of, performing and kind of building yourself up and,
Hmm.
things of that nature. I'm really hard on myself, when it comes to, performing and just, um, singing in itself. So, I can just be like, oh, I hated it. Afterwards I'll be like,
Right.
oh, everybody like, oh, you sounded so great. I'm just like, are you serious? You're nuts. That sounded horrible,
Right. Well,
But,
we know we all are our own worst critics, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. I know. That's what my husband said. You are the worst critic to yourself, I tell you. And I just, and this anxiety of getting back out there as well, and
Mm-hmm.
being accepted. All of those things come into play when you've been out, of something that you've been a part of for, a while.
Right.
So
Right.
I appreciate all the kind words. I really do. But and
Well,
I definitely want to, like I said, do, exactly what it is that I wanted, want the, people to look forward to, and which is deliver. Like I said, if the single, I probably will be basically dropping a single, within the next couple of month or two.
okay.
And, yeah, and then my daughter and I are getting ready to work on a Christmas single as well. So,
Okay.
that that's a hush hush, I guess a what is a plug, and what's the other word I'm looking for, as far as, I guess, a premiere or
Right. Well, I was gonna say
something.
it's not a hush hush anymore because
No,
everybody
it ain't hush
knows.
hush, but you were able to get a little. bonus tip in regards to something that is coming soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I have a question, another question. If you had one woman that came up to you today who wanted to learn about business, what advice would you give them?
Mm. Oh, it would be definitely stay true to yourself. Um, do your homework. As far as what the business is, how you're gonna do it, where you're gonna do it. Basically incorporating the business, all of the business things that come into play. Ask questions. Ask as many questions as you could possibly ask within a consulting company, a person that that's been successful in the business, things of that nature. I think you can't get too much information when it comes to building something that you want to see succeed. And I think, just jumping out there and not doing the necessary things, and being thorough, or taking and doing all the homework that you need to do will backfire on you, and then you'll get frightened and you'll get discouraged, and then it's going to be sitting,
Right.
So, even when because it's going to do that, probably 50% chance, probably 65-70% chance that it's going to do that anyway, because that's just, it comes with the territory.
Right.
You
Right.
just have to keep going. You just have to keep it, you can't be, a quitter. You have to just, you have to give it all you got. And even if you got one customer, at least you can say you're a business. It's one thing if you have a business, you have all these great ideas and you don't sell anything, that's just somebody with a dream and a passion,
Right.
It's not a business until something is actually purchased,
Right.
so even if you get one person that's purchased, at least you can say you're in business.
That's right. That's right. All righty then. Well, I think that's great advice, and you're absolutely right. The most problems I ever see that people have, whether you're female or male, coming into business, is that they don't take the time to research. They don't take the time to plan things out. Everybody wants to just jump into it, and then usually about 90 days after they're in, they're out because they have not prepared. So, your
Right.
advice is absolutely valid.
hmm
Absolutely. So, one more question. Tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, okay. So, on social media, it's ITS. It's Tamika_Joy is my social media, on Instagram. I believe it's Tamika Joy on Facebook with no underscores, just Tamika Joy. And my email address is where the stars perform at Gmail. That's where the stars perform at Gmail. That's for my Stars Performing Arts. So if there's anybody out there listening that have kids that would like to have them be a part of the Christmas musical, please email me, and I would love to have them come out and be able to express themselves through singing, dancing, poetry, rapping, and let's have a Merry Christmas.
All right. Sounds great. Well, Tamika, I really do thank you so much for the time. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate that you came on tonight to share your story.
Absolutely, and thanks again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. For everyone else, I want you all to have a good night. We are here, though, every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Please follow us on Spreaker, which is www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. Also, take the time to view our new WSBI website. You can find us at www.wsbillc.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And again, my name is Kimberly McLemore. I am the founder and the CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative. We're looking forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Don't see the birds in the trees. Their songs inspire me to sing a sweet melody. How do they do it? Not a care and so free. Wanna step into their world. Who holds the key? It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way.
Can you hear me?